So one of, if not the most common question I get is how I do my videos considering I am on trail. If you watch my stuff, you may have got the impression that I'm not one of those people that can just hand off my videos to my partner and have taters whip them up. She can be prodded into talking on camera, but the editing and the occasionally excessive amount of time I spend on this, not her thing. And welcome to Masochist on an Inlet Lock, which will hopefully be a little quieter. So I started making the videos basically because I did the PCT and I journaled. I used to do blog write-ups. I took pictures and I loved sharing that, but at least for me, I found that while that manner of sharing can be inspiring, it didn't do the best job as far as capturing what the trip was actually like. And by the time I finished the PCT, I'd done this big, amazing thing. I'd been having this adventure for 5 months, and it felt like the little itty bitty details were slipping away from me as I was sitting there post-trail. So that was why I decided to kind of try videos, at least when I did the ECT. I am also a cynical person, and I have a gut reaction against the, social media, every day is the best day, living my best life sort of thing, combined with the fact that I found out about the Eastern Continental Trail due to one of Jupiter's videos, and Jupiter makes really, really pretty videos, but I was pretty ticked at him when I was walking through the Keys because I felt like this is BS. He did not capture at all what that section was like. Hence why mine involve all these little snippets of trail, because I figure even if I'm being an idiot, not saying the right things, well, at least, you can see the trail. So not intended to inspire, not intended to make money, not trying to be an influencer and get gear. I just basically wanted to document what I was doing, and I wanted to do it in a easy, maintainable way. I was a software engineer for 20 years. I've worked with enough developers, done enough projects where my soul rebels on non-supportable processes that involve a lot of, additional, oh, you have to jump through this hoop, and keep doing it. Because while you might do that for a week, a month, a year, it's going to fall apart eventually. So with that guideline, I did not want to do any sort of GoPro or external camera. I have a very nice Canon semi-pro camera that I love. I like shooting with it, things like that, but anytime you have to transfer footage, that is a lot of extra work. The dive videos take me a long time, and the chance of me falling behind and not being able to maintain it was not worth the extra effort. And or I guess the extra quality. Also, if you're wondering about GoPros, personal pet peeve, I find phone footage way better than GoPros. GoPros have their place. They are action cams. They do have some modes that'll do a little better, but for my money, I personally like iPhone footage better. And nothing takes me out of videos more than if somebody has some GoPro 4 that it looks like they recorded on a potato, this cool thing they're doing. Also, because I'm a software engineer and I want to keep things simple and I want it just to work, I am an iPhone user. I know that is somewhat controversial these days, but personally, the hardware always works. It's easy to get it repaired, and the software available is a little more reliable. I basically have that iUp program, so I get the newest iPhone every year. I get the 1 terabyte or whatever the biggest storage is. I think I started with 512 of the Pro Max, which has the best camera, the best battery life, stuff such as that. I do replace it every year. While that is expensive, the battery degradation that I see with a year of usage, because keep in mind, this is my main computer and everything, I'm editing on it every day. By 2 years, it is atrocious. Never mind, again, I want to capture what I'm doing, and I want to capture it as well as possible. When we take footage with Jen's phone, she can't even record the Home Sweet Home video at the end of the day just because it's the camera, which is just a few years old, isn't good enough in low light. So I have it budgeted as a monthly expense, and I just pay a monthly, I have it a monthly fee to Apple, and I do a really easy exchange every September, October. I record using the default phone app. I do not use a tripod. Right now, if you're seeing me, I am basically holding my hand out and using the front camera. If you're seeing the trail, I am using the back camera. I don't like messing with tripods. They're an additional thing. And personally, when I watch a video and I see somebody doing the hero shots where they're walking off from the camera, completely takes me out of the experience. It's a fourth wall breaking thing. personal pet peeve. Also, I have this distinct experience or memory of on the PCT sitting there with Jen, watching this couple who was hiking around us set up the camera and do like 3 takes walking by it, and they did that every morning. That's a lot of setup time. Fortunately, modern iPhone does a pretty good job on video. If you notice how stable the video is, that's all built into the default camera app. I don't do any additional processing or anything like that. So I will record throughout the day just straight, and at the end of the day, I will get any footage Jen took. She has an iPhone also. She'll airdrop it to me. And that's all I do on a given day, because but at the end of the day, I am tired. I am sick of the day usually. The last thing I want to do is spend time editing videos of what I just did. That's what the morning is for. So I wake up in the morning, I start making coffee, and then I start editing. I take all the clips, I go into iMovie, I create a new movie project. Not Movie Magic, not anything else, just movie. iMovie, by the way, is free software from Apple, comes with every iPhone, you can download it from the App Store. And I have tried maybe a half dozen different pieces of software. That's the one that is the fastest and easiest and most fun to use. It does all the basics. If I want to do anything fancy, I have a LumaFusion license that I use on occasion. I've also used Premiere Rush, which has problems when you are offline for long periods of time, and their support is awful about acknowledging that, and a handful of others, you know, InShot, et cetera, et cetera. So I start a new movie and I just add all the footage for that day straight in. Fortunately, the style of videos I'm doing, I am shooting linearly, so it's not like I have to take this, move this here. If I'm gonna do that, it is much easier to do on a laptop, and I don't have a laptop. I then have static images for the closing credits, which is our Patreon thank you and the contact details. And I also have a map at the start. The maps are made by a friend of mine, Dennis, who you might remember from the ECT videos, and I edit the text by going into an app called Fonto and, you know, changing the date so people have a chance to know like what day I took it. So then I sit there, I sip my coffee, and I just run through the footage. Most of what I'm doing is just shrinking and occasionally removing the extra blather, etc. I rarely do voiceovers, because again, anything that kind of takes out of the experience. I find that when I have done voiceovers, especially if they're later on, it's not too bad if it's the next day, but if I'm looking back on something, you do get that kind of idealized rose quartz glasses sort of view of it. Usually I will run through the video twice. First time is just do a rough triage, kind of like adjust clips, remove things, and then I'll go back, and if I want to show any like funny pictures or reference things, that's when I do that. After that is done, I then go back to Fonto and I have a project set up that is the right dimensions for a YouTube thumbnail. I take a freeze frame of the video file somewhere using an app called Frame Grabber, and then I dump that into Fonto and I can add the text. I do it that way just so I can make the text pop out with a little more of the like black outline. I shoot footage at 1080p, 4K, you know, the phone can do some fancy stuff, but while it does look really cool, especially if you have a really big TV, it makes editing a huge pain. And when I'm out here for, you know, I'm gonna be out here 200 plus days, phone storage becomes a thing. So I export it at 1080p with no HDR setting. That exports it to the phone. I then put it into an album, and next time I have internet, I open the YouTube app and I upload to YouTube. The making of videos is usually really fun and really smooth. You know, it takes me maybe an hour, hour and a half every morning, and usually that involves some other screwing around and playing with pictures and whatnot. The most stressful thing is just trying to upload. I usually can get Wi-Fi or something when I'm in town. Every now and then, like in New Mexico though, I have had to sit there until 10 o'clock at night waiting for it to upload because I want to keep things kind of as real time as possible, just because it's more fun, and we've had a lot of luck meeting people because they're like, oh, you're coming through my area. Generally, I'm anywhere from 2 to 5 days behind. I try not to get any further behind than that, just because it's fun to read the comments, and it's hard to remember what was going on 3 or 4 days ago, never mind a week plus ago. So once I upload using the YouTube app, I set metadata, which is uploading the thumbnail, big thing for YouTube to like recommend stuff. I set metadata like the title, the location, etc., add it to a playlist, and then I usually schedule one to go out every day at 7 a.m. for whatever the local time zone is. I then have, when I leave that day, I have a buffer and everything's good. I usually delete the edited episodes off my phone just to save space. I download them later off YouTube to back up because software engineer. I keep the original clips just in case I want to do anything with them. If you saw our Mississippi highlight reel, that was built using the clips I took originally, not edited off the dailies. And at least for me, that has been a very maintainable process. I generally am doing yesterday's video today and I'm completely done. Like right now, every now and then I'll get a little bit behind. If we're leaving really early in the morning or if things are going on, I'll do what I call a triage edit, which is basically I just toss all the clips into iMovie and like dump the map in there, and then I'll do the editing later. I just find if I get behind at all, it's very hard to keep up with. I have friends that weeks after they get off the trail, they're editing videos and releasing them, and yeah, I can't do that. It killed me doing those dive videos that way, and there I physically could not do them when I was on the boat. So that's the basics. Like I said, it has generally allowed me to stay current. When I was doing journaling, I spent 3 months when I was off trail trying to finish the write-ups, the pictures and everything on my blog badly. They're horribly edited. I'm trying to turn them into an ebook when I have time, but I generally don't. Versus here, when I finish the trail, I also don't really promote the videos outside of YouTube. It is a pet peeve when I see people, the PCT 2020 group, there's a still hiking group, and there is one guy who seems like a really nice guy. He seems to do videos that are high quality. However, it bugs me because he is constantly spamming his latest video out there, and I don't want to see that crap. And at least for us, when I look at our analytics, again, we're not the biggest channel or anything, but YouTube recommends stuff. That is the main driver. If I post a link to Facebook and annoy a bunch of people, it might get a handful of folks, but in general, if you do reasonable thumbnails and just consistently post, YouTube's going to be the driver of most of the traffic. And that's basically how I've been doing videos since 2021 now. There are a few quirks to the process. The one thing I will say is I do not use optimized phone storage. I keep everything on the phone and I sync it to iCloud, but optimized phone storage basically means it keeps a little thumbnail version of the picture and it uploads the original to cloud storage. That saves a lot of room on the phone. However, that does get quirky, and that is usually depending on you having access to fast internet to get things back down, and that obviously doesn't work for me. Also, you may get an error message from iMovie basically saying that it can't download something from the cloud, even if you're not doing that. It seems to be a bug. They haven't fixed it in a year. I keep meaning to report it. But here's the tip. When you add all the clips into iMovie, go in and select video and just add video clips. If you're going to add still pictures later, do that later. Because if you add pictures and videos, there's some sort of a bug where it'll throw that error even though the image is actually on your phone. Storage is of course an issue when I'm out here. Like I said, I pay the Apple tax for the 1 terabyte phone, and it is worth it. The amount of hassle of having to swap cards out, the amount of failures I have seen from people out here where they're using SD cards and they lose weeks of footage because the card goes bad, or they had one that was basically a knockoff card that never worked, is ridiculous. And I never have to worry about that. It does get a little iffy by the end of the trips, by the end of the ECT. I was basically having to go through and delete everything I didn't need off of the phone in order to fit stuff. I take usually between 60 to 120 little clips a day. Most of my clips are, shoot 10 seconds, use 4. I was able to do it all with a 512 gigabyte phone before, but as you start to get full and you have 20 gigs left, the phone will get a little funny sometimes. Trying to export out of iMovie, it'll say, oh, there's not enough temporary space to do the export. So then I'd have to go delete a bunch of stuff, try it again. And when I had longer carries, doing 7 days into town, that was a big pain. One other thing I just realized, like I said, I don't use tripods. I also don't use microphones. Off and on, I've used the AirPods or the EarPod microphone. Personally, I find it works pretty well just using the microphone on the phone, and that avoids a lot of hassle. When I'm at home, I have a Blue Yeti microphone, which does sound a little better, but again, it's just the efficiency of trying to do something that I can keep up with and maintain out here. And bringing a little like Rode lav mic to talk into, that would mean each of those individual 60 to 120 clips, I would have to take out the phone, plug it in, and do that. And that would detract from me just capturing what I'm doing out here. Because again, at the end of the day, I just want to record what it was like. I want to remember mornings like this. I want to remember the good times and the bad times. So for me, just having my phone in the little pouch here, pulling it out, recording 5-10 seconds, putting it away, and doing that throughout the day is the best way to capture that. I am always curious to hear how other people do it, though. I have gotten to talk to one other person who was extensively doing YouTube videos and had a little bit of a bigger channel, and it was kind of interesting comparing notes. He was using a drone and a bunch of other stuff, though, so always interesting to I am always interested to hear, though, if there are better ways to do things. For example, like audio processing, if there was a way to level things out, that might be something that was worth pursuing. I can do that on my laptop, can't do that on my phone.